My name is Terry Ray, and I'm the Territory Sales Executive covering all of our manufacturing solutions, specifically focused on our next generation 360 and cloud solutions in the Virginias, Carolinas, East Tennessee, in this South region. And today I'm really excited to spend some time with you reviewing some of the trends that really are shaping the way we design and manufacture things, the way that technology is radically changing the way those things are designed and made, and really how we're on the brink of a new era in manufacturing design, and maybe how you can look to take advantage of that in your own business and companies. You know, when everyone sees this iconic picture of Steve Jobs, you know, what do you think of? You know, this is the face of a man who you can see has achieved true competitive separation. When you look, if you watched any of these when he was presenting either the iPhones or the iPod, you'll know what I mean. You know, he had the air of confidence, the knowledge that what he held in his hand, everyone else on the planet wanted. He knew that what his team had produced was a product that truly separated from their competition. You know, really every customer, every company wants that Steve Jobs moment. You know, in their company history or in their careers, that one that they know that when they have a product that's so well defined, so well positioned against the competition that they can charge a premium that it demands. You know, that's the difference between just competing and winning. So really, you know, what's keeping every other company out there from having their own Steve Jobs or Apple moment? So let's talk about some of that today. You know, let's take a brief look at the outcomes that manufacturers have traditionally pursued. Really, there's three broad categories, you know, whether it be productivity, differentiation, or innovation, and the processes. Well, on the productivity side, there's two sides of that equation. You know, on the input side, you know, this is achieved by lowering, you know, your production cost. Maybe you seek ways to lower your overhead, use cheaper materials or lower labor cost. And then on the output side, if you think about it, that's usually achieved by implementing a portfolio of maybe different initiative investments, right? Such as maybe add some automation to your process, look at maybe process improvements or just-in-time lean manufacturing type of approaches that hopefully leads to an increase in output and quality on both of those sides. And while effective, you know, these methods don't really often lead to a long-term differentiation in the market, as it's easy for competitors to learn and really employ the same techniques. So you may get a temporary boost, but not the long-term boost that you're looking for. So what else do we look at? You know, companies will look at innovation. You know, manufacturers strive to continually innovate with their design of their products and find something that would give them a competitive edge against other organizations, or even better, you know, if you can disrupt the market and create an entirely new category of product that's uniquely, you know, positioned to satisfy, you know, a desire out there. And the challenge is, even as with productivity, innovation provides only a momentary, you know, market differentiation, as competitors can, we'll call it, acquire and analyze and duplicate those original concepts. Some might call that reverse engineering. We'll just call it, you know, analyze and duplicate. Even though patents offer some protection against the duplication of intellectual property, you know, they rarely sustain a manufacturer's differentiation for long. Now, if you look at some of these ideas and thoughts that are on this page, each one of these, someone's going to come along and copy it and find, you know, either a different or less expensive way to do it and try to disrupt that market that they've created. So what's the other area? You know, it's in the process. And if you look at, you know, on the screen here, we're looking at the ways that companies are seeking to use something like carbon fibers. How can we use a different process to make our product? Can we make it faster? Can we make it out of different materials that will give us maybe a lighter strength to weight, or, you know, ratio? Again, even processes are difficult to maintain as a differentiator, because what might be unique today quickly becomes the norm within the market, in tomorrow's market. So really, as we look at it, all three examples that we've looked at, manufacturers and you all out here on the call with us today, you find yourselves constantly seeking new techniques or capabilities and processes that will separate you from the competition. But as you think about it and as you see what's been the traditional success factors, those things from the tradition are about to really radically change or dramatically change as we step into some of these disruptive trends that we're seeing in the market and that I'm sure many of you are seeing. So let's explore some of these things. If we look at just the way that production and demand and the products themselves, all three of these areas are changing and rapidly at that. Top left here, I'm based up here in Knoxville, and we have a company, Local Motors, that has a micro factory building cars to the customer's spec. You go in and pick out exactly what you want that car to be and to look like, and they 3D print that car. 3D printing, additive manufacturing is dramatically changing the way that customers go about achieving their end goal. So let's talk about just that production side a little bit. The means of that production, as we said, with additive manufacturing are changing. And the tools to get there and to print something that in the past I couldn't make by traditional means now means that I can open up what I actually design and what I bring to market and how I do that. Today's market is much more global because of our ability to communicate and be connected. And that means that the organizations can collaborate with their colleagues across the globe, and they can react more to the local taste and desires more effectively and timely by being able to take advantage of that connectivity and communication. It also means that small startup companies can establish an instant supply chain with microfactories and specialty manufacturing. I'm sure most of you on here have heard of Kickstarter, and crowdsourced funding of ideas. That allows not only the small companies or small players to get into a market, but even your large companies are taking advantage of this with internal innovation centers that are essentially doing the same thing, trying to bring ideas out quickly and see who is going to get behind some of these products. If you look in the middle of our screen here on the bottom, you'll see that we've got these models of a chair that are dramatically different from the end product to the beginning product. And it's being able to leverage really the computer-aided engineering side of things now to create new ideas and new concepts that still meet the end goal, but maybe are created and 3D printed in the future instead of having to do it in a traditional means. So all of these things, companies are looking at ways in which manufacturing can take advantage of our latest technologies, and how can that be used in a differentiating way. And when we look at the products themselves, it's no surprise that products are now connected and networked and much more so than ever in our history. Each of you, I would dare say, probably has on their desk a smartphone of some sort and have apps that have you connected to various things. Today, if we look at our homes, we're putting products like the Nest thermostat in here that can learn about your home and that you can, things that you can control remotely. So, the results that we're seeing with all of this product intelligence increasing is that, we have a much more complex system. It requires sensors and electronics and embedded software. And while it makes these systems maybe potentially more complicated, it also makes them more sticky. Think about, out of the 40, 50 people who are on the line, there's probably a few of you who have an Apple Watch. Well, that Apple Watch is going to be paired with your iPhone. And if you've got an Apple Watch, you're most likely not going to go get a Samsung phone now. So you see how companies are really looking at how can they be more sticky throughout their entire life cycle of their products. And that's what, we're looking for ways that you can take advantage of those things. And you need to be able to do that. The demand itself is growing and changing. If we look across the globe, really economic prosperity is rising around the globe, and there's a greater, more educated population of consumers. And simultaneously they are more connected and educated about the products, and they've got more choices around which products they purchase. The aesthetics or the personalization, think of custom fit earbuds, things of those nature, that really changes how a company thinks about serving their consumer. That customer's expectation is changing, whether it be from a geographic standpoint. Consumers in the Asia countries have maybe different requirements and different needs and tastes than what is in North America. How do you, as a manufacturer, address and meet those needs and do it in an agile way? And even generationally, we have older generation who has a different taste and a different ability to invest in the things they want than what maybe a millennial generation has. But yet your product can fit both of these, but they need to be tailored more, to accommodate that preference. And even sustainability, there's a much higher awareness and thought to how we actually create our products and how they are used afterwards, right? What happens to that product after I'm through with it? So how can we make our products more sustainable? And you think about just the water bottle industry. The power of influence is very strong. Customer preference really caused the water bottle industry to change materials well before government regulations. So all of these things are demands that are out there in the marketplace that's being driven. So when you think about your business, many of our customers will think of their existing business as a very linear process from start to finish, with several discrete phases along the way. Now, for the purpose of today's discussions, I'm going to grossly oversimplify these phases and reduce them really to 5 key elements. And although in reality, there's many more than 5, this will really help to suffice, for our conversation today. When we start, for every customer, no matter whether you're making mobile phones or you're making paper rolling machines or heat exchangers, it all starts with some sort of concept, whether it's aesthetic in the case of a consumer product, or in the case of a valve or fluid hydraulic cylinders, maybe it's the flow of fluid, and so it's a mathematical requirement. But in any case, you have a concept that you come up with to meet some set of customer requirements and market requirements. And then you have to take that concept and you've got to rationalize it into some profitable product, right, that you can manufacture and sell, right? We want to be able to sell it and sell it at a profit for the business. So, customers use our products today to achieve these goals, and leveraging 3D models and simulation software, to ensure that these rationalized concepts are high quality and appeal. And after we design it, well, then we've got to produce it. So we have to move to production and manufacture to get that product ready to sell to the market. Sometimes this is done by the customer themselves. You may actually produce everything internally. That requires a lot of capital equipment investment typically. And even today, and even in this area, many companies are finding ways to subcontract to suppliers, especially if you've got a specialty production technique that's involved. And once it's produced, it gets sold out into the market. Some traditional sales channels, you've got to print some media to show it, and that can be slow and time-consuming to produce. But all of those things are needed to support your sales efforts. And eventually, that product ends up in the hands of a consumer who operates it until it reaches the end of its lifespan, where it's retired from service or sold for scrap or something of that nature. And traditionally, that's called the product's life cycle. The problem with a traditional product life cycle is that really it paints you into a corner with a fixed product value. Now, what's that really mean? It means that no matter how efficient you make the process, you can never sell your product for or make more money than the sum of all your input costs plus your profit margin. And it leaves you as a manufacturer with a choice. You can either pursue a cost leadership strategy in which you try to reduce the cost of your product, and you assume that position in the market as the cheapest product. That's risky, right? Because there's only one vendor ever at a time who can hold that spot. Or the second alternative is you can choose a differentiated strategy and try to maintain a competitive advantage through maybe some specific functionality or capability, or maybe brand value, right? Maybe you become the Rolex of your market, or you try to innovate in a way that no one else can replicate. Again, as we talked earlier, that's a difficult position to maintain without your competitors replicating your core competency. So, we're seeking to help our customers avoid this problem by really transforming their business at each stage of the process. And that really starts even back at the concept phase. We want to help our customers personalize their products, right? Whether that be through tailoring it, in the case of maybe a consumer product, in which the example of those earbuds earlier, where you can match the exact anatomical configuration of someone's ear canal to produce an earbud that is fit just to them. Or in the more common case of a lot of our customers, with large scale or industrial equipment, finding ways to configure it and really unlocking the power that's contained within those CAD models and publishing it in such a way that provides our customer with a much richer choice in product. In both cases, manufacturers can differentiate from the competition really by offering products that's uniquely fitting the needs of their clients, as we saw in some of those trends that we discussed earlier, where that's what people are looking for. And that's one of the key disruptors that we are facing in the market today. These techniques here can help our customers move from that concept of mass production that's been prevalent for the last couple of 100 years to really a new era of mass customization that's ideal to react to a lot of the market fragmentation that you're starting to see out there. And as you move from that concept phase into a design phase, it's really all about collaboration now. We touched on it briefly earlier. Traditionally, a lot of companies have been constrained by the expertise that's available within your organization or within your four walls. But as you keep looking at the increasing sophistication of products, a lot of times that's not enough. You need some expertise maybe in embedded sensors that you don't have here, but is out there available somewhere across. Maybe they're in California and you're here in South Carolina or Georgia or Alabama or Tennessee, and you want to get access to that. Having collaborative tools that allow you to do that, you can now employ that expertise to work on those projects globally. Autodesk, we're the same way. We employ subject matter experts that don't necessarily all live in San Rafael or San Francisco or Novi, but maybe they're scattered across the globe. And that's the way that we take advantage of their expertise, is with being able to collaborate. You'll hear out there in the market this concept of next-shoring, which really, what does that mean? It may be a new concept for some, or a new word for some. And really, that's designing at the point of innovation, but manufacturing at the point of demand. So if you think about, let's think about Silicon Valley, what that represents to technology startups, the ability and the people that you might have access to out there, yet you may not necessarily want to start a manufacturing facility there. That's okay. You can manufacture where people want to actually use the product, and find more capabilities that way. So it's the ability to collaborate and collaborate effectively, and even taking that next-shoring concept to the next phase of production, where now I can set up more more flexible manufacturing micro factories, so to speak, and I'm manufacturing closer to the point of demand, whether that be say North America, or maybe that's in Asia. The requirements might be a little different for each, and instead of bulking up in one place, set up smaller factories where we can leverage some of these outsourced production capabilities. We want to help our customers also embrace the 3D printing and that additive manufacturing, with investments that we've made in technologies like our Spark platform, which is really an open source platform for 3D printing. And a lot of what, as I mentioned with locomotors earlier, they're leveraging that technology platform to be able to actually print something large scale like a car. So that really opens up a lot of different arenas. And if you're not thinking about it today, you got to be thinking about how you're going to leverage that for the future in your business. And when it comes to the idea of selling your product, well, we want to help you move away from that traditional model and more to a nurtured customer experience, in which that client can engage with the organization much earlier in the process, gaining, whether that be through tailoring and configuring their product online, with maybe configuration technology, or even immersive experiences that allow the customers to de-risk a purchasing decision by really effectively experiencing that product before making a final commitment. And you'll hear terms like Oculus and some of these other virtual reality tools that Facebook and Microsoft and other organizations like that and Google are working towards. Those are going to be the realities of the future. Are you preparing your company to take advantage of those? And then as you think of shipping that product out, and instead of never seeing it again, at a fixed cost, how are you going to, how can you take advantage of the ability to embed sensors and have a connected services? Everyone here has probably heard, either the term Industry 4.0 or the Internet of Things. It really is, that is our future of where we're moving to. Embedding sensors that now allow me to get feedback from the field. And if we do this right, and we help you do that, it allows you to start providing more of a service. Maybe my product becomes a service instead of just a fixed product value that allows me to now demand more of a premium for it. If you take it to its natural conclusion, there's a couple of different examples. One is Rolls-Royce, for example. They are in not the car side of the business, but the aircraft side of the business. They already provide customers now with an engine, right, for their plane, but what they sell is not an engine. What they sell is power by the hour or air miles rather than that jet turbine engine. In this case, the customer pays them for a fixed number of flying hours rather than a physical product. So just imagine what that can do for your business of being able to offer services down the road. And many of the customers that I've talked to over the last 2 years especially are either creating service organizations, preventive maintenance, or they're trying to figure out how can we move into that, because they know that there's an opportunity there to have a better customer experience as well as add revenue to their bottom line. So for us, as we look at customers and at the industry, we seek to help you move further to the right of this transformation, and the higher that we can elevate you, the more business value you can provide. And as you can start capturing that in-field product performance, from those connected services that you may be selling, you can also begin that next iteration of design with a more informed set of market data, that's based on some real-world usage and performance statistics. That's where you start getting into a much more agile product development that can really separate you from your competition. And that's what we define as really our product innovation platform. The ability to build really a whole product model, where you're not containing just the geometric, design, that CAD design of it and that simulation side, but that you're also incorporating the market information that relates to the demand and maybe the sales closure, all the way through to the performance characteristics of that product. And we put it all into a single source of truth platform for you. And that has a much higher business value to you as a customer in terms of the intelligence, and really will be the key to the future of making things for those who really want to stay competitive in your market. And as you look at that, you say, well, what does Autodesk bring to the table in this area? We are keenly focused on helping customers find ways to make their decisions better and faster with the way they design it, and bringing new materials and new ways of using and making their parts to the industry, and then how you can use those and being connected to not only internally all your different departments within your company, but externally as well with your product in the field and your consumer, and getting that feedback, and how can you effectively do that all together. Those are the areas that Autodesk is focused on, and that's why we have made our transformation as we move forward in the industry and in the cloud. And when you look at the decision-making tools, whether it be from a modeling standpoint of being able to rationalize that model in your design, or simulating how that's going to work in the real world, or finding the right data and getting that data fed back to you. It's all about the people, the information, and the tools that you've got, and having everybody connected and influencing those decisions. Everyone who does influence those decisions, having them do it from really a single source of the truth, whether it be your customers or marketing and sales or suppliers, support personnel. There's all kinds of information that these type of folks and groups need. Some of it's structured CAD information and BOMs, but some of it's a lot of unstructured information, photos and sketches, comments, text docs, spreadsheets. We are providing with our A360 backbone, a smart hub for all of that type of information, and then being able to add structures and rules to that, with our PLM tools. That's how we're helping you get there to making those decisions better and faster. And when it comes to actually needing to produce it, we have made tremendous investments in this field, from the Dell cams to the mold flow to the cam side with HSM and our Fusion cam in there, and our composites design and fabrication with Helios, and with as you look at this upper right-hand corner, the ability to design these lattice type structures. That's our within platform, and how you tie all of those things together with 3D printing, with our Spark platform. We've built a portfolio of products and expertise in these areas, and in advanced polymers, short and long fiber composite materials, in your adaptive machining. Those are areas that we know are critical and where we are investing for you and for competitive differentiation in the future. We've talked about all of these connected systems and connected products. The advent of cheap programmable controls and sensors mean that almost all physical products now incorporate some kind of electronic or sensor or tag within them, and the ability to tie those together are investments that we're making in the the Internet of Things, as it's called, or you'll see it coming out with our fusion control focus for the future. That is opening up whole new worlds for not only us but for our customers, and we're investing heavily in a new generation of accessible 1D design tools with deep integration into existing CAD and electronics design environments. And we were doing research into this well before it was ever called the Internet of Things, and that's what we'll be bringing out to the future for you as well. And finally, when we look at cloud, mobile, and social, those are platforms for today and tomorrow. And we have been all in on that next generation of computing platforms long before anyone else out there in the same market space. And that's what you're seeing with our A360s and our Fusion 360, and just a whole new, more flexible way for you to purchase and access the software tools that are out there. It allows both our partners and our customers to use our component technologies, as part of your own solutions, and the way that you go about accessing the right tool at the right time for the right investment. So we're really excited about this new future and what we see out here as really the product innovation platform, which we believe is the core to helping our customers embrace and even capitalize on the innovation that is out there. Some of it latent within your own groups, some of it that's being driven by your competition. So that's where we're going to continue to invest. We're going to be bringing those things out as you continue to hear from Applied and from Autodesk. You're going to be seeing us continue to push the envelope in the way you design, make, and use your products. That's where our future is going. We have been focused on this for a number of years of trying to look at the forces that are shaping the industry and making sure that we have a tool set that's accessible and meets those needs for you all. So the question I'm going to leave you with today, are you prepared within your company to lead the way? Do you have the innovation mindset, not just the mindset, but the tools to support being able to differentiate yourself in the market? And if not, I invite you to connect with your Applied rep after this call, and let's dig in together to find ways to help you lead the way. And we make it easier than ever to subscribe and start getting benefits today, and Applied is very well equipped to help you not only implement but optimize, so you can take advantage of the tech and start seeing the results immediately. So that's what I want to share today. I look forward to some additional even webinars in the future as we start focusing on our product innovation platform and bringing more knowledge out to the field there, and more exposure to what that really tomorrow's design environment that we are building today and that customers are using today. We look forward to sharing even more of that with you. So with that, Trevor, I'm not sure if we've had questions come up, but I want to turn it back over to you now and see if there were any questions that people might have over what we're seeing.
Okay, we do have a couple of questions that have come up, and of course, as we round out this presentation, please do submit your questions by using the questions pane in your GoToMeeting, whatever you call it, a palette, I guess. One of the questions is, how is the Internet of Things relevant to companies that build non-sensor driven equipment or products?
Well, that's a great question. When you look at the classical definition of the Internet of Things, it really is about, you know, the connected world. May not be as applicable to you today, and I guess the question that we have to look at is there a way for you to, you know, incorporate any of that in what you do? Sometimes there's not, and we're not trying to say that everybody in the world is going to, you know, be on the IoT. But as you look at the markets that are out there, and as you look at where your company is going to be in 10 years, what are you going to be making, and is there a way for you to move to that? I think you want to know that the tools and the technology are there for you to take advantage of. So, you know, I don't try to presume upon every company out there. What I do always try to do is challenge each company and each company's leadership to think about, where do we want to be in 10 years, and is there a different market that we want to get into so that we can get tied into more of these products as a service type of offerings.
Okay, that brings up another question that kind of ties into that one, which is, question is, what ways other than higher education can we prepare ourselves for the new technology to come?
You know, I think how do I best want to answer this? I think what you're seeing out there with such a pervasiveness of, whether it be YouTube's videos or Googling and finding product expertise out there, there is so much available to us in this connected world that I think a lot of what you are looking for, you're going to find with product companies that provide these tools are constantly out there putting out, whether it's webinars or seminars on how to incorporate these things into your, into your own environment. So I'd say there's a lot that's available out there from a, from a YouTube learning perspective, as well as the companies that are providing the actual in-use sensors and tools there. They are constantly educating the workforce and the marketplace on their tools. I think you gain a lot of that knowledge and expertise just from those sources. I think it's going to be personally, I think it's going to be very challenging even for colleges and institutes to really stay abreast as quickly as this market's changing. And I think you're going to see a much different approach to that education aspect of it. Personally, I got a large family, a lot of kids, and my first one is graduating college next month or May, and I think that his siblings that are 10 years younger than him are going to have a much different experience on their education process that may not even involve, the classic higher education. I think that's another whole arena. I'll get off my stump real quick. Sorry.
I would like to add to that also that, higher education unfortunately isn't moving at the pace that technology is, and so without promoting my own LinkedIn page, I would say that going to LinkedIn and reading posts and following some prevalent thought leaders would be a good way to go as well, because as I mentioned, technology is changing so fast that if you sign up for a course at a college that takes place 3 months from now, there could be a major innovation that could make that course obsolete or make it outdated. So a lot of what we learn here at Applied Software is through Autodesk, of course, but also through our clients, what they're experiencing as far as pains and successes, and in reading. So the internet is a great source of information for how companies are starting up very quickly and rapidly adopting technology to put themselves ahead of their competition. And I would say that LinkedIn is a good source, as are following those thought leaders on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I would second that, and I would also comment that there are a couple of great industry automation today and some of those others that are industry focused that really bring a lot of the challenges as well as potential solutions and maybe pitfalls or successes with those solutions that they are that they post out there on a regular basis. And that's where I get more from those than pretty much any other source out there today, because again, these folks are at that leading edge and really working on how to apply these and what are the challenges that their customers are seeing when they apply the technology themselves.
I agree. Another question, let's see, okay. Is the adoption of cloud-based technologies gaining traction or still being resisted in the southeastern U.S. specifically?
Well, that's a really broad question. We are gaining, I say we because I'll speak from the Autodesk perspective, we are seeing a lot of traction there. And especially even in customers, non-classic customers who are loving what they can do with something like our Fusion tool. And it's a cloud-enabled tool, works in more of a hybrid type of environment, but we have a lot of adoption there because there's more trust in the security and in those protocols that are put in place that you can afford to do at a much larger scale than you could ever do as an individual company. So those are not even the concerns that are brought up anymore, and the connectivity has gotten so great that we're seeing more adoption there, even in the Southeast, which typically does trail the rest of the nation, but we're having a large move towards those cloud tools and those next generation tools. One, because the investment for those is much less, and the power is there, and that's what most people are looking for. I need a tool that I can depend on, that is secure wherever I use it. Every one of us out here on the call probably have Gmail, and nobody thinks twice about it, right? Because we have the confidence and the faith that those are secure areas, and so that's where we're starting to see a lot of that traction gaining, even here in the Southeast.
Okay, and another question, and I think I'll let you give your take, Terry, but I have a comment on that as well. How would my company overcome the, quote, "we don't have time for that" mindset to better prepare for the future?
Well, my short answer to that is if you don't have time for it today, you're going to have time for it in the future, because someone's going to have passed you by and it's going to have left you behind. So I think that it's a challenge, yes, but it's one that leadership must be looking at, or they will get left behind. It's just the nature of industry and our process out there today. Things are changing. They're changing rapidly, and if you are not paddling upstream, you're going to get swept downstream. And so that may not be the most politically correct answer, but that's really the reality from what I've seen of my 16 plus years here in this industry.
I would concur with that also, because within the manufacturing clients that I work with, we have competitors, and I have seen some competitors completely leapfrog over others by taking that mindset that they can't be happy with the status quo, that they have to move forward, because in my world, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. So I would agree with you on that. And it's sometimes just an uncomfortable question to ask, but it has to be asked. Final question that I'm seeing here, and this is good for you, Terry, to answer, I would say, is Autodesk moving towards software as a service as a better way to equip itself for the IoT?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think it's in reference to subscribing to Autodesk as opposed to, how people typically would purchase licensing.
Well, I think that move is just, that's just a realization of the realities of the demands by consumers. Does it enable us to do and offer new technologies that can be leveraged in the IoT? I think it does offer a lot of new areas. Again, I can't speak for all of leadership at Autodesk, just from what I see in my area. I'm not so sure that they're necessarily connected as much as they complement being able to bring newer technologies to the market in a much faster way that can meet the needs and demands that our customers may have when it comes to IoT and the next generation Industry 4.0, where customers need things that are specific in nature, that typically would have taken 2 to 3 years to bring to market, that we can bring to the market in a matter of weeks or months, because we do have a much more flexible way of developing and bringing that out. May not be exactly answering the question, but that's kind of how I see those things from our perspective.